without further ado, I would like to introduce our very first speaker of the day. Hello, welcome. Andrew McCullough. Everyone, give it up.
Thank you.
Let's hear all about it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So my journey to entrepreneurship is a little bit unusual. I was originally thinking I was going into medicine. Back when I was in college, I was majoring in neuroscience. So I was taking classes like biology and chemistry, not business classes. And I had every intention of going into medicine and was enrolled actually to start medical school when I finished college at University of Illinois, my home state. But that summer, before I started medical school, my life took an unexpected detour. My mom had been running our family's business in the second generation of ownership. This was a company that my grandfather had started back in 1928. We manufactured industrial refrigeration equipment, which is stuff like you see in the lower left corner of this slide. These are really big-scale cooling equipment assemblies for like cold storage warehouses, food processing plants. Anyway, so that summer, my mom unfortunately had a lot of health problems, and it became clear that she could really not continue running the business in the second generation. So I was faced with this unexpected decision. Do I continue down the path toward medical school, or do I switch gears and take over running my family's company? Because no one else in my family was really, at that point in time, able to do that. And so to make a long story short, I chose the latter. I abandoned my medical school path, and in my early 20s, I started running this business, which, was a decent-sized company. We had, at that time, roughly 2 million in annual revenues, about 20 employees. And so pretty much straight out of college, I had responsibility for meeting payroll and had no particular preparation for business management. So I pretty quickly decided I needed to get some business education, and I enrolled at University of Chicago's evening MBA program. So I would work during the day and then commute downtown to Chicago 2 or 3 nights a week to take classes. That took about 3 years to complete. But I continued running the family business for the next 13 years. As often happens with family companies, by the time ownership reaches the third generation, family members have divergent interests. And so my other family members had really kind of lost the interest in keeping this company. And so after about 13 years, we happened to encounter a good opportunity to sell, and my family decided to take that. So I initially decided to continue on an entrepreneurial path, and I did what's called buy-side research and acquisition consulting work for private equity groups. Did that for about 4 years, but ultimately that wasn't really the best fit for me. And I was looking for something else, so that was really my first big pivot to being a W-2 employee. I ended up working for a large global consulting firm in their international risk management group. Did that for a few years, and it led to a transition into being a CFO for a couple of healthcare companies. The most recent of those CFO jobs is actually what brought me here to Colorado Springs. I relocated here about 3 years ago. So unexpectedly, a year ago actually, exactly, my CFO position locally was eliminated. The company decided they didn't want a CFO. So I was faced with a decision: do I continue trying to find another job as a W-2 employee, or do I go back to being an entrepreneur? And it didn't take a whole lot of reflection to decide that the latter is really what I wanted. I was not really fulfilled being a W-2 employee. You know, lots of people talk about motivations for entrepreneurship like independence and control over your schedule and financial opportunity. And all those things are valid and important. But for me, a fourth factor was really significant. And that is having the ability to help people, but on my terms. A lot of times as an employee, you know, even at a high position like a CFO, you ultimately don't have that much control. And you may be put in situations that you don't agree with ethically, or you might see business decisions being made that you don't agree with. So I decided going back to being an entrepreneur was the right path for me. And I landed being a CFO, but on a consulting basis. So my current path is to help companies on my terms as a consultant rather than as an employee. So thank you.
And now we're going to open the floor up to questions for the next 20 minutes for Andrew.
Andrew, this is Mark Rodholm. Thanks for the little path that a lot of us can relate to some of the things you're challenged with. So my main question is, what is your area of focus? What, you know, as an entrepreneur or somebody who wants to latch on to your skill set, what is your specialty? What area do you tend to focus on?
Yeah, so good question. I don't really have an industry specialization. My work experience is so diverse, you know, originally industrial equipment manufacturing, consulting work, healthcare. I even have real estate experience, which I didn't touch on too much, but I think the main criteria is I want companies as clients who are interested in growth. So obviously smaller companies that don't have a CFO. But if the owners are really comfortable and complacent where they are, they're just happy coasting, I wouldn't get too excited about working with that kind of company. It's more companies that are interested in growth. So my focus is strategic financial management help, doing FP&A, financial planning and analysis. It could be helping a company plan for maybe M&A activity, a sale or an acquisition. It could be helping them find debt, you know, for an acquisition or some real estate expansion. Basically growth initiatives.
Hi, I'm Andrew. First of all, you'd have made an incredible doctor. I can just intuitively tell that, man. Yeah,
thank you.
You're quite a brilliant young man. So,
well, not so young anymore.
I'm older, so
Okay.
she'll call you that.
Okay.
But anyway, as I think about the pathways, almost forced entrepreneurship, in a sense, right? You had someone had to do it. The family was there to take over into W-2 and then back. Do you ever have any regrets looking back? Do you think, wow, did I miss it here? As you're doing fractional work now and thinking about next steps in your career, do you see any spaces or places where, maybe I missed it?
Yeah, so interesting question. I think earlier in my journey, I did have those moments where I wondered if it was the right choice. I mean, my passion academically was always mainly science. So I definitely do still have that as a very strong interest. But, you know, I ultimately concluded that I don't know if the life of a doctor would have necessarily been right for me. When I met my wife, you know, many years later, her father happened to be an orthopedic surgeon. And when I told him the story about my decision, he said, "Oh, not going into medicine was the best decision you ever made in your life." He said, you know, and he was an older generation doctor, so for people like him, medicine had changed a lot over the course of his career. doctors no longer had as much control as they used to. So, no, I have no regrets not going into medicine. I think this was the right path for me. And I realize I still am passionate about helping people, but it's just in the business world. It's not in the medical field.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions?
Come on, guys.
Thanks for the presentation, Andrew. And more in line with what Frank was saying, you touched on that you were going to go to med school. So how long was that before you said, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and just do this thing? Because obviously med school is, there's a lot of planning. And then the second thing is that you said you wanted to help people. So I saw that theme of helping other folks other than yourself. So I want to expand on that from an entrepreneur perspective of what was that time frame, that decision that you made, like that aha moment saying, you know what, I'm dropping my dream.
Yeah. So the decision was made relatively quickly. It was really that summer between finishing college and starting medical school. So a matter of a month, really.
1 month.
Yeah, 1 month. I mean, so my decision point rested on, number one, obviously wanting to help my mom because her health was failing, and just having that sense of family responsibility too. I'm the oldest of the children in that third generation of family ownership, and so my younger brother and sister still had to get through college, and had the company failed, their ability to afford college would have been impacted. So that was a big factor. Yeah, but to your second question about helping people, I guess that wasn't initially clear to me that wasn't a conscious part of my decision. But over the course of all of these work experiences, especially I think some of the W-2 employment, I saw how corporate jobs can, they don't necessarily put people first. And to me, people always have to come before profits. I mean, if a company doesn't prioritize their employees and their customers, if profits come first, that's not a successful business in my estimation.
I agree. A question that I'm becoming very fond of, because having presented, and quite a few of us have, there's so much that you have to cut out. And especially since I knew Marsh was your coach, I know how he coaches. And was there anything that really stuck out to you that you had really wanted to talk about today, but just wouldn't fit in that 6 minutes?
Sure. Well, I think I gave a pretty good overview of my career path, so maybe not too much more there. I mean, of course, there are lots of details I could go into about different jobs, but I guess maybe I could talk more about just what I'm doing currently as a consultant. And this gets back a little bit to your point, but I don't want to do routine accounting work. I have an MBA with a finance concentration, but I've never worked as a public accountant. A lot of CFOs have public accounting as backgrounds, but I don't really enjoy transactional accounting work. I'm not a tax expert. So my focus is really on financial management, helping companies plan for growth, and really doing financial strategy. That's my focus.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'm looking at your slide back now, and I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit, or allow you to touch on it, about what really matters to you. I think when you ask an entrepreneur what really matters to them, what's their why, their deep why, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you go into business, you want to make money, but what is your deeper why? Why is what you do important to you, and why does it get you out of bed first thing in the morning?
Sure. It's really that fourth thing that I mentioned. Like the obvious things for most entrepreneurs are independence and control over your schedule and financial opportunity. And all of those things are important and valid. But that fourth thing about being able to help people and put people first in their business life is something that I found was hard to achieve as an employed CFO, but I think I can achieve more as a consultant. I can pick and choose who I decide to work with and hopefully align with people who are like-minded. So it's really that ability to help people, but on my terms, not the terms of my employer.
Over here.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk more about how you help your clients put people first above profit as a CFO using your background in finance, because I think that is a really critical tension that is in the world today and in businesses today. This concept that people are expensive, employees are expensive.
Yeah.
Investing in them is expensive, their development and their well-being, those cost money, and I have to focus on my profit. So as a CFO, when you're working with your clients, how do you guide your clients through that specific tension?
Sure. It's usually, I look at it as trying to identify clients up front who already have basically that shared value. Ideally, I don't want to engage with clients who don't think like that. And ultimately, that's impossible to predict. But I would like to avoid situations where I really have to do any convincing. That they just already are like-minded. But yes, in general, what you said is absolutely right. It's very short-sighted of business owners and executives to, casually look at employees as just, a number. That the success of almost every business really does depend on its employees. And if you don't put them first, it's ultimately, in my opinion, it's not worth winning. You could potentially make more money in the short term, but long term, is it really worth it?
So people before profits, how did that work with the private equity business?
Yeah.
That's like vinegar in oil.
Yeah, so I was never employed by a private equity group. I was just a consultant. So I didn't have, and my work was all on the front end. So helping really research whatever industry was of interest to them and evaluate those opportunities. My role had nothing to do with like the integration or post, investment activities. So yes, I know very well the reputation about, the callousness of private equity and in business, but the scope of my work didn't really see that part of it.
Well, yeah, so I'm piggybacking up from Oscar's question, because to me, there's two sides to every why, and I think it's beautiful that you're helping other people, and that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Angels don't always come with wings. But my real question for you, because I want to get to know you better, and that's the biggest question, is how does this fuel you? And I know most of the time we say, it's fueling me because I'm helping other people. That's great. The world is taken care of. How is this taking care of you? What is this bringing to you? What does that better life look like for you? What's the beauty that wakes you up? Because we try not to think so much in the selfish sense, but I want to hear, what does this matter? What's the beauty in you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm lucky enough that I'm at a point in my life where I can afford to be a little bit more picky about my work, and so I've just realized that looking for work opportunities where I can genuinely help a business, whatever that owner's objectives may be, is much more motivating than just the money. I mean, It's, yeah, I guess you could say I see it as my goal to really help others achieve their dreams.
I already spoke, I know, I'm speaking a lot.
It's okay.
You're a great speaker.
I like ribbon. And I very much relate to you because you have an extremely analytical mind where you love data and everything, but you see creativity in it and you see a way to really help people through that passion for data. I get it. But where did the passion for people come from? Because even diving back, like why did you choose neuroscience? What was it that made your analytical mind say people first?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess it's a combination of just my family upbringing and the values that my parents instilled in me. I also consider myself a Christian, so my faith is an important part of that as well. And I think also just that early responsibility when I was in my 20s, straight out of college, being responsible for a group of 20 people that, their livelihood depended on the success of that company. It just taught me to appreciate that, people do matter, and you can't just look at them as, a cog in the wheel.
Andrew, I know quite a few fractional CFOs, right? You're the first one I've ever heard say people over profit. Very first one.
Yeah, I may be rare in that respect. I don't know.
Well, I think that could be a separator, right? And the work that you did. She kind of stole my glory of my question here, because you started off really going straight into business, how that formed you. We really didn't hear about Andrew, the human. I mean, what formed you. Tell us the makeup of Andrew's family, being the oldest of three, having to navigate that. What was it like growing up in the Peterson household, and how does that fit with the culture here in Colorado Springs?
Yeah. So I guess being the firstborn, you do tend to take on more responsibility. It's, I guess, just a stereotype of firstborn children. But my family always instilled in me, I guess, a value of doing what interests you and what you're passionate about. My mom and my mom's family never pushed me to go into the family business. And that's why I was pursuing medicine. I was not groomed for that role at all. Had it not been for my mom's health problems, I probably would have wound up being a doctor. So they were always they emphasized the importance of really following your dreams and your heart and doing what interests you. So I think my mom, while she appreciated me helping out when she was sick, I think in some respects she probably was, a little bit sad that I did give up the medical school path. But it all turned out for the best, so no regrets.
And the culture of the Springs, this relational culture that we have here, have you seen that yet and been able to impact that yet?
Yeah, so I've only been here a little less than 3 years. I do get that sense. It does seem like a community that values relationships more than just, typical business transactional type work. So yeah, I think in that respect, that is a good fit for me. Yeah.
All right, so what can we as the Colorado Springs community do to help you?
I would say just keep me in mind if you come across companies in your network that don't have a CFO, small, lower middle market companies that the owners could possibly benefit from fractional CFO consulting advice. Yeah, my network here is still fairly small, so just introductions to people who I might be able to help.
You're fine.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Thank you.
And we have to give you a cup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, goodies, goodies. We are one cup stronger.
Okay.
Yes, right here.
Fancy picture. You're gonna do like Jim's.
Right here.
Oh, there.
Over here, over here.
Thank you.